It's not a photo.
Oh, hi, it's a video.
Hello.
Now I better get another one of my colour.
Okay, this is our meeting, yeah.
Is this it?
Yeah. Let's go.
They're not alert to this stuff. Ausgrid, which is a big infrastructure business, surveyed 8,000 New South Wales. So just looking,
Because it's so new, like it's...
yeah, just
Really?
looking dramatically at the panels doesn't mean you're getting what you wanted. So I'll just show you one of the systems I use. I'm sorry, it's just on my mobile phone, but it's an important thing to know how you can get the data. It's really good if you can get real-time data that can be downloaded as a CSV file or Excel file that you can turn into a graph. So this is, do you want to just scrunch up, guys? This is real-time now, and these panels are being overshadowed by a jacaranda tree. These guys are still in shade. This is in sun. They have microverters, little things about the size of my hand that talk to each other. And so they're saying to the other panels, you guys go on and produce as much power as you can. I'm in shade. Yeah, and watches. And it's a little device about the size of a couple of matchboxes, and it gives you really easily understood graphic information about what your panels are producing.
So you're saying all panels aren't created equal? I assume they were just all the same technology.
We've had, there are now 1.7 million solar households in Australia. Many of them have got really cheap, poor panels, and the owners don't know it. There's a grading that a business publication called Blomberg and some other people put together called Tier 1, 2 and 3 products. So buy Tier 1 products, and there's a list of them on Blomberg or on the internet. It's something that it will amaze you, and it's almost impossible for many people to believe. I've kept 2 million litres of sewage on this site in 21 years, and over 2 million litres of stormwater. So you know there's East Coast lows when you think you should have built the ark and it looks as though it's never going to stop raining. None of that water, no water or sewage has left this house in 21 years. And I'm going to show you a really simple zero maintenance system for keeping all the stormwater there. My cleaner just was going to throw the, she's got to put some bleach on the floor. She said,
Do you use non-toxic cleaning products now?
yeah, but she, I said she can
You like hats?
I do.
Yeah.
So, oh, gee, I can't believe that you guys came from Katoomba having -3. I don't know how you do it. Special or different or skilled. You don't have to go to university or, it's a really ordinary house. It's also a house where you can see what has and hasn't worked. So these compact fluoros are dead or dying. This wonderful new LED light are here. I got them because developers and people I really recommend IKEA. They only sell LED lights, and if you've got halogens or something, you can take it to IKEA and they will have a replacement fitting for that light. So it's a really great place to go, and I've got a lot of respect for IKEA. The other reason for us here is just to confirm your thoughts that I'm just a little boy, a little child. This is my off-grid action figure. when they cut the wires, had this burst of joy. It was just spectacular feeling, and I kept this wire which connected it to the grid and put it there as a childish trophy. So come up close and I can show you some of the stuff on the screen here. There's some stuff coming off the panels here, I don't know, about 500 or 600 watts. It's going into this inverter. The solid blue line shows that the house is not connected to the grid, so this could be connected or disconnected, and there's about 200 or 300 watts going into the house. So that's right. Each of these lithium-ion batteries weighs 18 kilos and were simply lifted up, carried up the stairs and then popped in. So it's modular. So much more compact. As I said, the equivalent storage in lead-acid batteries would take up all of this balcony. So it's a really compact way of storing energy. This is the critical thing. This is the really weak point in this product. The inverter is the key, and I'm finding it helpful to talk about on the tours because it helps me to get rid of the grumpiness. But basically, it's just the wrong inverter. I'll talk about it downstairs rather than up here. But you can see that it's about the size of a 500 template. It's a really effective way to improve the house. Alright guys, I'll follow you back downstairs.
Have you ever measured the fields with pictures and how far?
The kids have gone, the wife has gone, about how many people in the house. When we did the job, there were 2 young kids and the washing machine went every other day. The house was like the lighting in that room. And if you look at this room, it's quite light, although it's almost the shortest day of the year, about 20 days away. It's light because there's a light ceiling, light cabinets. The floor turned out to be too dark. The stainless steel bench bounces in. And if you have a look up there, while I do this, you'll see what these guys do. So these are light shelves, the light hits there and bounces to the back of the room. If you can bounce light around, you can get reading quality light right in the back of offices and so on, just by bouncing light into the ceiling to the back of the room. Too bright for me.
Too bright.
So that's now that Tesla's working, that's a Tesla price.
What do you think of their inverter battery?
It's good.
Model?
Yeah, it's really good. I wanted to just follow up a promise I made to talk about the inverter upstairs. And batteries last longer or less long depending on the number and amount of the discharge of the batteries. If the sun's shining and there's a clothes washing machine on, what that inverter does, it takes the power from the sun through the inverter and the batteries to the appliance. So it's discharging. The better inverters will take the power from the panels to the inverter, bypass the batteries and take it straight to the appliance, thereby increasing the length of life of the batteries. Yeah.
Kind of a run of.
Yeah, you're not absolutely not obliged to be in this, and if you wanted to make it clear that you don't want your face in it or whatever, you're very welcome to say that. So don't feel any peer pressure.
No, fine.
Okay.
I'm in filming already.
Great.
Gas oven, and I love to cook. It goes all the time, and I have a gas booster for my solar hot water system. I'm going to get an induction cooktop. I've hesitated for years because I love to cook.
Oh, that's so good.
They got big power.
And now the induction, I hang out with chefs and foodies, and there's so much more I can do now with an induction cooktop. What's the most efficient 500 litre fridge? And it will list them in order their 10-year operating costs. So energyrating.gov.au is a really good comparative shopping guide. So you can see what's on the market before you go to Bingley or Harvey Norman or whatever.
A circuit breaker that you put in the electrical meter board, and what it does is you can set the energy load to the circuit, so you can determine the base load, and it will know if that circuit's being used, and if that circuit's not being used, it will shut the power off. So you can either set it so you just shut it off completely, or if you have appliances that you need on, like fridges or things like that, you wire that to a special circuit and it will stay on, but it will turn itself on and off as you're actually drawing power, rather than just leaving the circuits open and running all night.
And what do you call those again?
Demand switches.
Demand switches,
Yeah.
and they go in the power box.
Yeah.
So they have intelligence based on whether they're active.
Correct. Yeah. So it will know whether there's current being drawn in the circuit, and it will switch it off. So say for example, if you're in a bedroom and you don't want to have, it's typically used by people that are electrically sensitive. So maybe you don't want any currents running through that space, and it will switch it off at night. But you can also set a base load. So if you have a television, the electrician can set it to the base load so that those appliances can still have their standby running without turning the whole circuit off.
Cool.
Yeah.
With the induction, I don't know, and they've got some, they're completely carbon neutral, and they've got a lot of kind of community energy initiatives and wind farms. They hook up to wind farms, and
Cool.
and are really easy to buy. Like you have this app on the phone and you can buy power.
So you just look
beforehand,
at
so it's
Power Shop app.
affordable.
Is that what it is? or
Well,
how do you
I could
find
send
it?
you a link.
Yeah.
And then I would save $75.
Ah,
You would
okay,
save
now we're
$75 on your
talking.
bill. I just like them, right? I just use them.
Yeah, well,
I like
I'll give you my email.
That's
them.
cool.
You know,
Yeah.
you know how I like
By the government-owned businesses, Sydney Water and so on. I got the Premier to launch the house for me, so I had some political boilerplate between potential bullies.
The premier to launch your house.
Wow.
Which one is that?
Bob Carr.
Wildcard, yeah.
So you can imagine it was a much cleaner house than it is for you lot today. It was my pride and joy and so on. Somebody walked past the fridge I had at the time and said, "Did you put a grate under it?" And my nervous, proud heart said, "Arr!" And it turns out that fridge and the way I designed it meant that my 18 new panels were all being used by the fridge.
Wow.
Because the fridge is on 24/7, it can use huge amounts of energy. So I became fridge obsessed. I've now got a really efficient fridge, well it was at the time. Look, if we were talking in the Arctic, we wouldn't need a fridge, we just need a cupboard. So a fridge works harder or less hard depending on the outside air temperature. I've built this problem in. There's a joist running this way, so it's really hard to bring cold air over. If I put a grate under the fridge to bring the cold air up below the fridge, I could have increased the efficiency of the fridge by up to 25%. Basically, that air down there is going to take 2 degrees off the fridge 24/7.
You can't do that.
I did a job for Randwick Council to turn a house there was like this, sustainable. So if you look at this, in the kitchen of that house, it's called Barrett House, you can inspect it. The pantry and the fridge, 2 cold things are together. See the kickboards with grates in them to bring cold air below there. But out of sight, underneath those things, are fine grates to stop the cockies and things coming in. Cold air in the kitchen in winter. The best thing is to confine the fridge to a space behind this door, so that when you open this door, you also open the door of the fridge. But otherwise, the fridge is in this column of cold air. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
An architect got the first edition of the book in Victoria, and he sent me this drawing. He kept his fridge, this is south, and drove a 100 diameter millimetre pipe under his slab here, and he recorded a 17% increase in efficiency in the fridge just by giving it cold air. So that's a great story, I think, don't you? So if you do reduce your bills, yeah, that's a sad story in the fridge. The books are
Cleaner than town water.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So that's just rainwater, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, almost 3 million Australians drink rainwater every day. No one's died drinking rainwater. 2 children in North Queensland on a farm died when they were playing in irrigation on the garden. The parents were pumping raw, untreated water from the farm dam where the cattle excreta went in, and they ingested it through. See how I get the clean water, because I want to make good my promise to show you that I'm a bit of a dope, and everything is dope proof and simple and low maintenance. So can you just lead the way, or we'll follow you out that on the deck? Just take care of the steps and things. How's the sound, Thomas? From the Broadway Shopping Centre, there's an app you can get for all the fish that are caught sustainably. So I bought some wild oats. It's self-cleaning and gets rid of stuff. Do not use gutter because it just filters the fine sediments which go through the holes into the tank and accumulate. This is self-cleaning because the wind blows the pollution down and over. It's colour bond. The New South Wales fire people prefer it for places with fire hazards. It's cleaned by the wind, and when the rain comes down, it comes into here. It's hydraulically stronger than the open gutter. It's more efficient. But when it first starts to rain, it's called smart flow. There's still pollution on the roof and the panels. So imagine it's raining. Each of the roofs here has a dead end pipe like this. When it rains, the first water's dirty and comes here. It slowly drips away here, and as it continues to rain, the water rises to this point. This is just long enough to give the roof and the panels a quick rinse. As it continues to rain, the water is now clean and is diverted here to the rain tank, a 10,000 litre rain tank below the deck, while I'm doing nothing. So it's basically $20 per roof.
Wow.
You might need 3 or 4. A heads up, the product comes with a recommendation that this be 1.5 metres long. Do not follow that. I've done the science on this. I've measured the quality of the water. You can lose about 60 to 70% of water falls gently. The other comes in a rush. So that gently falling rain can just drip away and you can lose it. And people who've put in these, and the plumber said, no, you've got to do it this way instead of my way, they say we haven't got any water. It's because they listen to the plumber and to the product person. So this is a key. Sometimes details are really important. So for this house, I've got no more than about a metre. No water's left this house. Let's answer this question. What happens to the surface rainfall? So the tank's under there. The tank next door is 5,000 litres, so it's twice the size of that. Please choose either side of this pit here. and come back as far as you can because I want to show you some things. Actually, I'll just kneel here. Sometimes, this is another detail that's important. So here's the overflow. Can you see that? Notice how it's at the top of the tank. When the tank overflows, it comes through that pipe there and falls down now. So this is an important thing. If the side of my body is the side of this 10,000 litre tank and I put an overflow pipe on the side, I lose 800 litres of storage capacity because of the diameter of that pipe. So the overflow pipe should always be on the top. Now, if it's raining, there's 4 days of rain, the ground is sodden and wouldn't be able to absorb that surplus water. But a metre down, it's fine. So what happens, this overflows a metre down into this sunken pond. There's about a 300 mil plastic sheet to keep a permanent body of water there. I've got frogs and tadpoles and fish. As the water rises, it flows sideways. This is called a dry wall. No cement in there, so the water is absorbed sideways. And what's happened over the years, I think it's got more efficient because the air and the water have created an environment for worms to go, and I think the clay is being amended to be a different soil composition. I love it. It's so, and I told you I was weird. I perv on gutters and downpipes. That's mine. That's me. So I come out here when it's pelting down at 3 in the morning with my little heart. Is it working? Is it working? And yes, it is. It's got up to here in the last east coast low, and I thought this will be interesting, but it just stabilised there.
And that dry wall's quite thin, like it's like that.
Yeah,
The stone's about wide.
yeah. It's exciting when you do this stuff because if you want to have sterile water, you can just sterilise it with an ultraviolet light, like they do in fish tanks and things like that. Yeah. But I've got a really good simple design sense. So I became what I call this is the alpine strawberry, which grows in shade. That little wet week is actually a kitchen chucks. It's not doing so easy. So, you know, I can grow a few things, but I can't grow much. So we started growing in the streets, and we're going to go out
In the street.
in
wow.
the street, yeah, without approval. Because I'm a lawyer, I know how to break the law or manipulate it, get around it. So, what happened is we got a lot of media. I did this around about 2008, and there are 5 things. You dive before you dig, you know, to do all that sort of stuff. So we're going to go and harvest some of the food. We've got 1,000 fruit trees, herbs and plants, and then we're going
Street food.
Yeah, and we're going to come back and have morning tea. Don't worry about it being unclean or whatever, because so what I did is I wrote a book about food because of the shade from the solar panels. Look at this here. This is a gorgeous plant. Oh, can you smell that?
Yes, I can.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Smell that.
Oh wow. So
Yeah, that smells
so
great.
the sewage is aerated, and then does that then...
Oh, the bees.
Is it?
B&B.
Well, leader B&B. And then the
So
chickens.
let's get in this.
Smells great.
There's over 1,200 litres in that. Google had 300 workers when I did the project. So that's called 1,000 litres. 300 times 1,000, 300,000 litres of water for breakfast at Google, again for lunch and dinner. 1 million litres of water a day to feed them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12,000 litres of water for our breakfast if we had something like this. Again for lunch. So 50 to 100,000 litres of water to feed us today. Look, the egg here is doing, I think it's 80 litres or something. The chook doesn't drink 80 litres, but it's embodied in growing the grain, cleaning, all that sort of stuff. Just because some of you have to go early, I'm going to give the early leavers some of the things. These are the show bags, they're spectacular. This is, what's your name?
Christy.
Have you heard of this?
Yes, we already have it at home.
So, in the show bag, there's this paper called Who Gives a Crap? Saving the World One Bum at a Time. 5,000 kids under 5 will die today from dirty water. These people give half their money to them. See you. Cheers. And I buy my food from Ubi. So there's an introduction to Ubi. Before we go out there, I want to show you one other thing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. See you. Love you to see you.
So I just learnt something new. In the city of Sydney, it's legal to actually grow gardens and produce. So we're going to have a look at Michael's garden here at his terrace here inYdney.
Go, Cho.
You can't allow. Can't. I put one back there and then he's taking it down. I put another one in there, he's taking it down. It's just. Yeah. That's tricky to take the landmark. Yeah, no, anyway, yeah. Like, hard to want that.
Okay, so we get the compost and grow soil. This is a finger lime. This is a native raspberry.
What's that, mate?
So guys,
That's tea. Wow. So what was the law that was passed that you can actually grow
there's a
your own
community
produce?
gardens and road gardens policy.
Community gardens
Yeah,
policy in
this is-
Sydney.
Yeah, while we're doing this, to save time, if you could share this among yourselves, and I'll just show you what to do.
Oh, this
So-
is going to be our tea.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
have a smell.
You can smell it already.
Smell. Great. Yeah, that
So
smells
you can
great.
put that in there. By the time we get back, we should have some lemon tea tree.
What is this one? It looks like one of those ones that has the really thick, furry base.
What is it?
Does anybody know?
No, I don't.
This is a bay tree.
Okay.
Now the leaves look grungy, but if you wash them and put them in a jar and dry them out, you've got beautiful bay leaves that you can use.
Bay leaves.
Yeah. So it's just growing in the street.
Come gardening with us. Sustainable Chippendale. Mint, coriander, strawberries, limes.
Raised bed garden. So you know exactly what the soil is, and it's also high quality. See this pawpaw tree there? One of my favourite dishes is green pawpaw salad. And so we get people to shinny up the harvest the green pawpaws, and we make and the local yeah.
How old is this one?
Yeah.
How old?
What? You wouldn't even notice.
How old is
yeah.
that one?
That's about
no idea. Yeah.
And so it likes. I've got one like that gets a lot of sun. That's
Wow.
very
It's one of
fast
my
growing.
favourite dishes. There's a recipe in my food book.
Yeah.
Get honey from a guy that has a finger
Yeah,
lime farm.
yeah.
And so he's like, it's got like a different flavour.
Yeah,
He sells
yeah.
it at the Marrickville markets.
So most Australian trees are actually oil barrows in oil barrels in the air. When I put this in the fire tonight, I'm going to cook over the fire again tonight. This will explode. It's like all,
Sparks.
yeah, eucalypts and bottle brushes and things like these are so fun. And I've cut this because it's unhealthy, that one there. And so we've got a lot of branches and things that fall off, and we use them in the mulch and the composting and so on.
Kept feeling something on my neck. I was like, what is that?
Someone actually pulled the tree out.
The baristas up in a cafe saw two blokes in a ute pull up one morning when he was on his way to work. It's the early shift. They just denuded the whole street, put them in the ute. I would say they're going off to sell them at a market or something. Who knows?
That's ridiculous.
So what we did, it's really lovely. This gorgeous purple is for bees. Bees love purple. So that's a salvia. And this is from some recycled timber that we've turned into a little library. You can buy more fancy ones, but
Very cool.
this didn't cost us anything except a few screws, and we just stopped this going to landfill.
Bees just love the colour purple.
They love purple, yeah.
Love
This
purple.
is a pomegranate. It's doing much better. And I was asked about. So somebody can. In legislation, I made it clear that just like gas or Telstra, if you disconnect, they can't hit you with fixed charges. This didn't communicate, and for about 5 years, Sydney Water kept on sending me bills for fixed charges, with notes saying they're going to disconnect me because I wasn't paying. So I got a bit tired of this childish discussion, and one day I undid the water meter, which is like a shag and rock going nowhere, and wrote a note to the managing director who I knew, and I said, look, can you ask your people to stop sending me bills? Then I got a call from this sort of constipated sounding chap saying, got your note. I don't think she ever got it. I said, why don't you guys come out and have a look? You know, to be on 60 Minutes, Al Jazeera, CNN, the whole world knew it, you know.
Al Jazeera.
Why couldn't Sydney Water get out into the world? And so, can you put some water on there? I'll get the kettle going for us, please. And so we're going to share this labour here, guys, and sorting things. And they came out and they said, oh, we're going to do a smoke test. That's funny. And I said, fine. And their faces fell. They thought I was being fraudulent, that I would stand in front of the cameras and do all this and actually not have disconnected. It's like they live in a different world. They really don't get it. So one of the lessons I get out of this is what's important to us is not necessarily important to somebody else. And the key thing is telling stories. That's why it's really good to have Cho and her fellow people here today. Teas have dye added to make them look like tea. This is a knockout.
What was that? Lemon myrtle?
Lemon tea tree.
Lemon tea tree.
Yeah.